Hello, I'm Justin, and we're going to be talking about drawing with shapes. Drawing with shapes is very important because without it, all of your art, you become more of a camera. All you do is you draw things with outlines. You start by drawing a tree, and then you draw a house, and you're drawing everything the way that a computer draws it. And so if I ask you to rotate the house or rotate the person's head, it's something that you can't achieve. But if you learn to draw with just shapes, starting with the two-dimensional shapes is a very good place to start. If I start with the square, the triangle, and the circle, any set of things that I put together, house, they all work. It's very easy to make something and change it however I want because I'm drawing with shapes. If I take those shapes and I extrude them into 3 dimensions, so I'm going to say the cube, if I connect all the points, I get a cube that's in the 3-dimensional world. And that means I can rotate the cube. Because I'm just drawing one shape and turning it, and the cube rotates. A lot of people, when drawing the cube, they get scared and they draw it away from itself. Then you get more of a rectangle. But if you'll draw the cube, and instead of drawing it here, flat, and connecting it, which is fine, if you'll draw it at an angle, see how mine steps it into an angle? It creates a V here instead of a flat. Once I can draw the cube, then I'm going to go on to the cylinder. The cylinder is an ellipse that if I trace its lines up and I draw the same exact ellipse, I get a cylinder. It's pretty straightforward, and whatever shape this is, top has to be as well. I'm going to go on to the cone. It's just an ellipse, and if I pick a point in the middle and I dotted line my way up and I connect the edges, I get myself a cone. Now the sphere is the easiest one because it's just a circle. Now you're saying these shapes aren't perfect. How can I deal with that? If you draw with pencil and you draw as lightly as you can so that you can erase it, then what you can do is erase 90% of it, come back through, and clean up your edges. Don't try to draw with rulers. Try to practice drawing straight lines just the straightforward way. Just get better at drawing straights. Now we're going to talk about something else. Whenever I have a set of shapes, drawing anything requires that I be able to add and subtract from those shapes. So if I take a cube, and I add a cylinder, what's going to happen is, if I take these two, and I overlay them like this, one second, all I have to do to add them together is figure out where they meet, add in the shape, and make sure that I just see where it meets here. I'm going to connect it going all the way down. Wasn't a perfect cylinder, so it didn't match. And make sure these angles, any 2 angles that are parallel, are the same angle. I'm drawing it a little too steep. This angle and this angle, if I copy them, should be exactly the same. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to draw any of the pieces that are inside. This angle and this angle should be exactly the same. Same with this angle and this angle. this angle and this angle, this angle and this angle. Now if I turn off my other layers, you see I have an addition shape. Now the same thing can happen, and I can do a subtraction. So say I have these two shapes, and I want to subtract them from each other. Well, I'm just going to draw the box the way that I did before. And you will get better at drawing lines, especially straight lines. It just takes practice. Now I'm going to stop right where they intersect, just like I did before. But instead of adding, I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to follow the back edge line. Follow this line down. Follow this line across. Follow this line down. And now what I'm going to do is, I didn't draw this back line on the cylinder. Probably should have. But if I did, what it would do is it would trace like this. So if I go here, and I don't draw anything that's behind something, now if I turn that off, now I have a subtraction shape. Adding and subtracting shapes gives you a huge variety of things that you can draw. Because as I come in, I can say I've got a box. I want to add another box. I want to subtract a shape from here. And I have no idea where I'm going. It's just very fun to begin the process of creating with shapes. I'm going to add a shape in here. Erase what I can't see. Add a shape in here. And this will take more practice. You should be drawing with shapes every day, anytime that you get a piece of paper in front of you. Because it can be very fun to just add, subtract, and just see where you can get. It's a very relaxing practice. You never know what's going to happen. Okay. We've done a lot of work in this with drawing shapes, but now we're going to go into actually shading the shapes, making sure that they look good and they're interesting.